Good to have you here.
Thanks for having
Good to
me.
have you here.
Absolutely.
So we'll start out with introductions, but part of Detroit Labs Bites, we're interviewing folks at the QSR Evolution and NextGen conference. Two fantastic events in one, where I think like all of the industry folks that are who's who and the up and coming people, giving a voice to what the industry is focused on right now, what's going on in tech in the space. We're just excited to have you on.
Yeah.
So Josh, you're the Chief Marketing Officer at Noble Foods. You have 14 concepts under your wing,
Yeah.
And you've got quite a history in the restaurant space. I'd love to kind of give us your background and even a little bit more on your role today.
Yeah, man. So first, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you guys for doing this, man. I am going on year 15 in the industry. This is an incredible time as far as in my career.
Yeah.
Started off on the agency side, began on the agency side.
Yeah.
Spent my first few years kind of working specifically in digital media on the agency side. Then opened my own agency a few years ago. And then closed that agency when I realized that there was a lot more folks that are much more equipped like yourself and the folks over at Detroit Labs to be able to be doing that work. So I saw myself kind of going on the brand side. And so about 8 or so years ago, my wife and I created a company called Modern Revival, which is an athleisure brand. We scaled that concept to multiple locations and then we sold it.
Yeah.
And then, kind of was getting a little bit bored at the house and then said, you know what, like, I don't know if I want to go back on the brand side. I don't know if I want to go back on the agency side. I just know I want to go back into what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Which is food. Grew up here in North Carolina, grew up in North Carolina. So food is my passion. Love being around food, love great tasting food.
Yeah.
I still can always see anytime I'm putting together a marketing plan or putting together strategies, I can still see my grandmother making food. So as long as I continue to keep having that vision, I know I'm in the right spot. Took my first job after post acquisition. Went over to go work at Bojangles, running all things digital advertising. So ran their entire digital advertising platform. That brand was looking to have somewhat of a renaissance, right? And so they wanted to kind of become a little bit more digital. And so, I had some great relationships with Jackie Woodward, who was the CMO at the time at Bojangles. And she said, hey, can you get this done for us? And so I had worked kind of sort of with Jackie in the past, but absolutely admired her from a distance just as a leader in this industry, a thought leader in this industry. Actually ran into her here, hadn't seen her in a while, ran into her here at QSR, which is great. But ultimately, man, I had studied the work that she'd done and I realized what was needed to be done at Bojangles by becoming a more digital infused advertising brand. And so took that task on and we drove some great results there. From there, took the head of marketing role at Big Chicken, which is founded by Shaquille O'Neal, and ran around with the big cactus for a while, and but needed to get a little bit closer to home, and we needed to be a little bit more centralized. We have my wife and I have a ton of kids, so we got 4 kids, so needed to be home, closer to home, and
Absolutely.
so took the chief marketing officer, was offered the chief marketing officer role in Noble Food and Pursuits, and so haven't looked back since.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the background on that. And rumor has it that you were just on a panel. You were just speaking.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Yeah, it went great, man. You do one of these, you've done a million of these. The reality is that you're supposed to get up there and tell the truth.
Yeah.
Man, you can always tell the folks who are getting up there trying to add 100 on 10. I'm genuinely a straight shooter, try to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I want to have some conversations about what's really going on. And so luckily I was able to do that. I'll do that again at Media Post in California later on this year and a couple other spots across the country, God willing. So I'm excited anytime I can be able to talk about the business, anytime I can talk about what we're doing, but not what I'm doing, but what we're doing as a team. I'm always going to take the opportunity. And so it's a blessing to be able to do it. It was a blessing to be able to be here and talk a little bit about what we're doing. And it's a blessing to be able to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, no, amazing. Well, I'm glad the panel went well. And maybe a softball question here too, like getting started, what's your favorite order to make at fast food restaurant of your choice? Favorite order or weirdest order? I'm gonna take either one.
Yeah, so I'm a curveball this back to one of my old stops in my career. So when I go to Bojangles, which I grew up a Bojangles fan, I'm from North Carolina, so Bojangles is everything.
Yeah.
Grew up, eating Bojangles. So I go to Bojangles and I get what they call the bird dog. Kind of funny story about the bird dog. Tom Bolin, who's the CMO there at Bojangles, he and I had a conversation. I played football my entire life. Provided him an answer on, he was like, man, what's something that you would love to see kind of come on the menu? What's something that you experienced eating as a kid? Like, man, well, my dad did this thing called a bird dog, where he took a chicken tender and put it into a hot dog bun and then just let you do whatever you want from a condiments perspective. I didn't realize he was like, interesting. I didn't know that interesting was like, yeah, so like, let me bring you in on menu innovation. Let me bring you on menu design. Like, I want to see this come to life.
Yeah.
And so the bird dog is kind of personally is an ode to my dad. And a salute to my family. And so when I go to Bojangles, I get the bird dog. Got to get the seasoned fries, extra seasoning.
Yeah.
Right, then got to get an Arnold Palmer. You got to ask for an Arnold Palmer, right? But I got to get an Arnold Palmer, light ice, right? And then I do still do what I did as a kid, get some ketchup, get a little bit of mustard.
Yeah.
And I kind of slide on the side.
Sounds like we're like fast food twins, because I would go to you and I would eat exactly what you just did. You had me an Arnold Palmer. Hey, with the bird dog. So when I found out what the bird dog was, I'm like, you had me at bird dog too.
Yeah, man, it was a good innovation. I'm proud of the fact that I had a good bit to do with that, man, coming to the PU. And I don't know how successful it's still being for them, but I know before I left, it was one of the most successful LTOs in the company's history, which is, I'm proud of that.
That's super cool. What a story on the legacy too.
Thanks, man.
Okay, last one here, and then we're gonna go into maybe what you've been working on, at the restaurant. So what are you hoping to get out of the conference?
Yeah, man. Yeah, honestly, man, the big thing is, I wanted to see some folks that I hadn't seen in a long time, man.
Yeah.
This is kind of like the restaurant industry's Super Bowl. You get a chance to kind of see everybody, man. It's not just a networking event. It's not just coming to speak on panels. It's not just kind of keynoting. But for me, like, and a part of that, I've actually accomplished a little bit. Seeing Jackie Woodward was a big thing for me. My wife asked me before I left, she was like, you think you're gonna see Jackie? I was, because, seeing people that you admire in the industry, folks that you look up to, it's not so much about, kind of gawking over them as a fan, but to try to show them like, hey, the work that you guys put in, building this industry, building what we've done, I'm the guy that's looking to try to keep that tradition going and going forward. So the biggest thing for me is not so much about, being able to get some things. Of course, from a business and networking standpoint, certainly want to make sure I'm getting the opportunity to speak and have some conversations with NextGen, next generation of great agency partners or great technology partners as well. That's an added bonus. That's kind of cherry on top. But the biggest reason why I love coming to this conference and being here is the conversations that I get to have with the folks that I look up to in this industry, man. I really love being a marketer. I love being a marketer. I love being a marketing executive. And there are some folks who have done this phenomenally that I want to just be able to walk up to and say, thank you for the great work.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. So I guess segueing into, you work for some pretty large brands out there, right, in the past, and now you're at 14 concepts, definitely a smaller scale.
Yeah.
But I think that there's this thread of team, people, culture, providing like hospitality that even you said about with the ode to your grandparents and the bird dog. What's been the transition like there? And it's like, I feel like we're solving the same challenges, but just at a different scale.
Yeah.
And the meaning is the same. I feel like sometimes we think like, oh, I need to be at the top of whatever, but you've been there and you've been at a smaller shop. So what's your perspective on what's changed from back then at Bojangles to today?
Yeah, I mean, on a macro level, the problems and the solutions are the same, to your point. It's just different at scale. On a micro level, strategically, they are vastly different. There's a difference, I can feel the difference on a day-to-day kind of routine perspective from being at a 900 plus unit Bojangles concept that was expanding outside of its regional footprint to being at a, 70 unit location footprint with Big Chicken that was spread across the entire country to being in, what is really a area behemoth and Noble Food and Pursuits. So on a macro level, it is, the problems and the solutions are the same. Great food, hospitality, at a great price and a great experience. On a micro level, the strategy is completely different. What I know makes our guests and our human beings tick on, for this brand and for all of these brands in these locations is completely and vastly different than what I know will make a guest tick or a human being tick at a Bojangles brand. At a Bojangles brand, people have been ordering the same thing for 50 years, man. Well, 40 some odd years. You go get your biscuit. You know what biscuit you want. When the pork chop griller is out, everybody go get the pork chop griller. At Big Chicken, it was a little different. Some people are coming because they want to see what type of experience Shaquille O'Neal has created through the concept of a restaurant. And then at Noble Food and Pursuits, because there are 5 different brands, that all create 5 different experiences, it drives 5 different micro strategies that we got to build out. So for me, it's been about, when I first got here, it was about stacking the early wins, drive dollars to the top line of each one of these individual silo businesses. Yeah. But after that, it became more about, now strategically from a long-term perspective, what are we looking to be? What kind of conversation are we looking to have with these guests, which are 5 different guests? I mean, if you go to the Jimmy, which is kind of North Mediterranean, Italian Mediterranean infused, you're going to get a different response than if you go to Roosters, which is much more, it's still Mediterranean, but it's much more Southern inspired Mediterranean. It's a mix, it's infused. If you go to Boston Buell's, it's completely different. That's a chicken shack, man. That's best chicken sandwich, best doggone chicken sandwich in history. And I've had a bunch of, trust me, I'm not just saying that because I've been here. Best doggone chicken sandwich in the business. So you just get different people, man, different results. Yeah. So on a micro level, it's just different. It just feels different.
Yeah. So interesting. When you're thinking about as a leader of those 5 different distinct experiences, I think for us at Detroit Labs, coming in for me, I've been in, other agencies in the past, and we worked a lot with technical folks, CTOs, VPs of engineering. Coming into the QSR space, we actually work with a lot of folks in marketing, and marketing is driving a lot of those technology decisions and implementations. Curious how you are thinking about leveraging technology at the scale you're at today. Yeah. And I think I'd love to hear your perspective on not going too crazy with it and not going too low tech with it. Yeah. And what's the sweet spot to enable your brands?
Yeah. Marketers, whether we're willing to say it or not, we've got to welcome all of this here, man. It's a different world. For myself, I'm a digital native, so technology is a natural part of my day-to-day process. It always has been in the industry, and any role I was in. But I also recognize that there are people inside of the organization, no matter where I was, that's not their experience. And so having to go and educate first, internally first, before we even educate externally or tell other people has been my mode of operators. I think for me, educating internal so everybody's excited and everybody at least has the base level of knowledge and information about how important these technologies are, what type of impact they have on the business from an operational standpoint or culinary standpoint, or from even a marketing standpoint, understanding that each of these technologies or these technological partners or these agencies all play a role in how we optimize what we're looking for. Now, we all are in the business to be able to maximize and optimize dollars, top line sales as well as bottom line sales. But from a marketing standpoint, that couldn't be more different today than it was 10, 15 years ago. 10, 15 years ago when I first got in the industry, technology was something that was kind of like the conversation that kind of sat on the side, kind of like, only the people who knew about it wanted to pick it up. Now, everybody's got to have a role in it. Everybody's got to touch it. Everybody's got to be involved. Yeah. And so for me, I think it's more important to make sure that I'm having the educational conversations first internally. But then to your second question about, how do we utilize the technology to kind of make impact? It's there. For me, but I also have to be careful of not saying it like that, right? Is that like almost kind of taking this kind of nonchalant approach to like, it's there, I know how to use it, let's rock and roll. This goes directly to, again, making sure that I'm educating all of the stakeholders. This brand, this company responds to the technology different than any other spaces that I had. We have older executives that operate inside it. We're chef driven, we're chef led, where these folks want to be super focused and hyper focused on the food and the culinary experience and hospitality. I also have to make sure that they understand, but equally as important as the culinary part and making sure we're wowing people with the food, we have to also be ready to wow people with the experience. And technology is meant to help to complement that and supplement that as well. It's not meant to substitute. It's not meant to eradicate or take away. It's meant to complement. And so it's been fun seeing our executive team, take on the technology approach as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, it reminds me too of, you've got your 5 distinct experiences and locations and vibes and culture in each one of those. I'm always, interested and fascinated with how when we talk to brands, like one of our main clients is Jimmy John's, and we've been working with them for 10 plus years. But Jimmy John's from a digital experience is so much different than other brands like a Chipotle or a Zaxby's, and the way someone would order and navigate it, the online experience, the app experience. But there always needs to be a call back to culture, I think, of what is like your number one. And I think Jimmy John's freaky fast is really, funny. Yes, the boy phrase, freaky fast. And so it's like their app has to be fast, their experience has to be fast. And I'm curious, when you're thinking about guest experience, often I tell people, I'm like, you need to think about what's driving a poor experience too. And for me, I'm like, sometimes if you're adding a channel to add a channel and it's not well done, how many people do you know aren't having a good experience and you're not tracking? I'm just curious how you take that, because it seemed, I would say brand recognition and reputation in the community is really important.
Yeah.
How do you think about rolling out a new, channel for folks to get your good food?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, this goes back to what we were just talking about, is understanding that I can't just roll these things out. Now, I mean, the beautiful part about these brands is that, traditionally, all of these brands have been so hyper on premise, in restaurant, hospitality focused. And so having the opportunity to roll out the digital side to this that they've never done. I mean, it's just a matter of that they've never done it this way, right? And so, for example, Toast came to Noble Food and Pursuits before I got here, came to them and said, hey, we have the ability to roll out an app. We would love to do a beta test with you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it was natural for folks who just didn't understand the technology to just say, yeah, sure, let's do it, right? Without understanding, the impact and the implications. When you talk about what is driving a poor experience, not talking about an app, rolling an app out, but not talking about it.
Yeah.
Right. Orders being slow. It was called freaky fast, right? Orders being slow.
Orders being freaky slow.
Being freaky slow, right? So all of those things are functional, like those are functions. Like those are they're not even best practice. These are functions of how you operate in these spaces, that if you don't have somebody that understands, wait, guys, this isn't a campaign, this isn't an implementation process. This is how this goes. Right. And so understanding that and being able to articulate that has been very interesting. I think the most interesting part is being willing and being able to say, hey guys, I need everybody to leave the room as it pertains to this particular function. I need everybody to leave the room, leave me alone with this, and I'll call you guys back in once I have it figured out.
Yeah.
Being able to figure it out in 5 minutes later, being able to say, you guys will come back. Right, it's all pomp and circumstance at the end of the day, but the reality is that it helps to wow the stakeholders, helps to make people feel a little bit more comfortable. But from a business, just the optimization of business perspective, it can be fairly tasking for folks to roll out technology that they have not tested, that they don't know what the overall optics can look like, what's customer sentiment gonna be if you're not doing this right, what's customer sentiment gonna be if you're doing this wrong, like what do you expect the outcome to be? What's the desired outcome? Have you set goals? Do you know what impact this is supposed to have on incremental sales? Do you know what impact this is supposed to have on just, customer acquisition? Without having that information there, without being able to set those KPIs, without knowing how to measure those KPIs and being able to say if it's a win or a loss, you're kind of going into it something that you're already going into it blindly, but then you're putting blindfolds on, going into a place you're already going into blindly, which is a wild idea, but I've seen a ton of brands do that. And then they end up rolling out technology and it ends up backfiring on them because they didn't take the time to understand it, to be able to test, to be able to kind of do a market test, man. See what you can do in a consolidated market, a controlled market. See how this can work here. See what this does. See what your response is going to be. All of those are things that are at our display. And I know we want to move fast, and the technology tells us that we can move much faster. But more than moving much faster, we must move more efficiently.
Yeah. So wise. I feel like that there's been some nuggets in your career that you're pulling into today.
Yeah, man.
Because I see that a lot, even with some of the larger brands we talk to, but it's like, what are we tracking? How are we tracking it? Are we being thoughtful in how we roll it out?
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see you roll that out in your role today. Give me 5 minutes, let me figure it out is a humble place to be, but it's like, you're going to bring your team, everybody's going to get on board with it.
Yeah, and not for nothing, man. It's really cool to hear other stakeholders, other people in the leadership group say, we wanted to measure this. We just didn't know how to be able to articulate that. We wanted this data, we wanted this information. Just nobody ever brought it to us. We didn't have anybody in the room that could be able to bring it to us. So it is one part, like the knowing part, but it's also the second part of being able to articulate it. And marketing executives, marketing leaders now more than ever are being tasked with being great communicators. We have to be able to communicate what we're doing, and we need to be comfortable with communicating it multiple times and not leaving a single word out of it the third time we explain it that we did it with the first time we explained it. And so that's something that I could say I've probably gotten much better at, is being able to articulate it stakeholders and shareholders and leaders. But at the same token, also keeping that kind of 5-minute rule to myself is like, yeah,
Give me a little time.
yeah, just give me a little bit of time, right? I'm gonna call you back way before you expected me to call you back and let you know we figured this out.
Yeah.
But and that's the fun part of it, man. It's being able to see the faces, being able to see the response, and then the even more fun part is being able to see what impact it has to the business. And so ultimately, all of this is about what impact does this have to the business. And so it's been fun. It's been fun so far.
Well, Josh, I want to close out with one last question, and I'd love 30-second, 60-second take on this.
Sure.
But I saw "Give to Restore" in your tagline,
Absolutely,
on your email.
Yeah.
And I don't know, tell me a little bit about, as we close, I think the QSR industry as a whole is very caring in general, and it's like how we think about building digital experiences as well. Where did that tagline come from, and does that drive how you guys think about culture and your guest experience?
Yeah, this is our calling card. This is the flag that we wave at Noble Food and Pursuits. Chef Jim Noble has been very, very honest in his 40-year career about his desire to give back to those who are less than or are unfortunate, the widows and orphans of the world. Like, these are the people he really genuinely cares about. To the point where for 40 years, this gentleman has been going out and feeding the homeless, taking the revenue and the profits that we make on the food side and giving it to the pursuit side. There's a reason why our brand moniker is Noble Food and Pursuits. The food side should be filtering and funneling and feeding the pursuits. And so when we say give to restore, it's because we look at our guests who come into our restaurants and they give. But we take those things that they give to us as far as in dollars and tips and things of that sort. We take those things and we give to restore to those who do not have the opportunity to be able to sit inside our restaurants. And so this is something that's been going on for a very, very long time, giving to all people of all different backgrounds and all different ways of life. It's one of the reasons, it actually is the premier reason why I decided to take this job. Is because I wanted to do more than just sell food. I wanted to be able to have an impact on people and to see the work that Noble Food and Pursuits has been doing. Not today, not in the last 5 years, for the last 40 years. Since this gentleman decided to put on a chef's jacket, he also put on a jacket of the community. And so that's our moniker. That's our flag that we wave, give to restore. We get the things that we are blessed to be able to have, we give to those who do not have it. And we do it gleefully. We do it with a smile on our face, and we continue to repeat it over and over and over and over again so that we make an impact on the greater community.
Let's go.
Thanks, man.
Well, Josh, appreciate it, man. Pleasure. Thank you for your time. Glad to end on that note. And for Detroit Labs Bite at QSR Evolution, the Next Gen, we'll see you next time.